I'm Kalyan Krishna, faculty in chemistry. I'm a double pass postgraduate holder, and I'm a bachelor in education also, and I have an experience of nearly 15 years. I'm here right now to present you the basic introduction of the topic electrochemistry. So, before I get into this topic, I just want to tell you the basic purpose of this topic. There are two very important areas of the chapter electrochemistry, which which are using chemical reactions. Using chemical reactions, how do we produce electrical energy? And the second task is using electrical energy. Using electrical energy, we make a non-spontaneous reaction to occur. Here, the word spontaneous means possible. The word spontaneous means possible. Non-spontaneous in the sense not possible. Reaction which is not possible to occur. But what we are doing, students, we are sending electrical energy and we are making a non-spontaneous reaction to occur. So these two are the two very important objectives of the topic electrochemistry. In this chapter, we will use chemical reaction, and using chemical reaction we generate electrical energy. And we will use electrical energy and we will forcibly make a reaction which doesn't occur by itself. That is, we will make a non-spontaneous reaction forcibly to occur. Right? I hope students have understood the basic objectives of the topic electrochemistry. Now, if I have to put on those the 2 points that we have just now discussed, it goes something like this: chemical reactions, electrical energy, and using electrical energy we make forcibly a chemical reaction to occur. So this is the most important task of the topic electrochemistry. This entire chapter is about achieving these two things: converting using a chemical reaction to generate electrical energy, and using electrical energy to make a reaction which is non-spontaneous to occur. Right? Now, before I move on to the topic, let me talk about some basic terms involved in this topic. Basic terms. Right? The first basic term I'm going to talk about is conductor and insulator. Right? Also, electrode, and finally, I'm sorry, there is one more term: electrolyte and non-electrolyte. So these are some basic terms I want to talk about, students. First one is conductor, next insulator, then electrode, then electrolyte, finally non-electrolyte. Let us first focus on conductor. The moment we hear the word conductor, elements that blink in our mind are copper, because this is something without which daily life is not possible, because we run our lights, fans and all those things using copper wires. It is these copper wires which conduct electricity, right? So copper is a conductor of electricity. And if you talk about silver, silver is the best conductor of electricity. Right? Silver is the best conductor of electricity. Like that, you can take n number of metals. Right? There are n number of metals. Right? Similarly, let us talk about insulators. Right? Insulators, in the sense, those substances which do not conduct current. For example, if you talk about 100%, 100, or you can simply take wood. Wood is an insulator, right? Plastic is an insulator, right? And if you take 100% pure water or 100% pure and dry HCl, even those are insulators, they do not conduct current. Next one is electrode. What is electrode? Electrode basically is a solid. Electrode basically is a solid which conducts current. Which conducts current. Right? So any solid which conducts current is considered as an electrode. Next one, electrolyte. Electrolyte is any liquid that conducts current, that allows current to pass through it. Finally, non-electrolyte is again a liquid which will not allow current to pass through it. It will not allow current to pass through it. Here the example I gave is copper, silver. Here the example I gave are wood and plastic. Here the solid electrodes can be considered again as like the same examples I can write for conductor as well as electrolyte. For electrode I'll be writing again. You can take zinc, you can take copper, and you can take silver, gold, any electrodes. Any conductor can be understood as an electrode. Now, what is the basic difference between conductor and electrode is, conductor is a general term, right? When you use this particular conductor in any cell, whether it is galvanic cell or electrolytic cell, we'll discuss all that stuff, right? When you are using these particular rods, metal rods, in achieving either this task or this task. If you want to achieve either this task, that is chemical reaction to electrical energy, or this task, electrical energy to chemical reaction, if you are using a conductor, then the same conductor is called electrode. Now, what is an electrolyte? See, as I told you, it's a liquid that conducts current. If you want me to tell the example, if you take sodium chloride solid, sodium chloride in solid state doesn't conduct current because it has ions. There is no doubt it has ions, but ions are not free to move. Whereas sodium chloride in molten state, sodium chloride in molten state can be understood as an example of electrolyte, because sodium chloride, it contains Na plus and Cl minus, and not only the presence of ions, those ions are free to move from one corner to other corner. So it is just because of this motion, the movement of ions, that ions move from one point to the other point and they start carrying current. Next, finally, non-electrolyte. Non-electrolyte is again a liquid which doesn't conduct current, and the examples of this category are something like, if you take a pure solution of sucrose, or if you take a pure solution of urea, these are bad conductors. I mean, these do not conduct current. That's why these are called non-electrolytes. So students, I hope you got some basic understanding of some minimum terms or very important terms required to understand the topic electrochemistry. The first term was conductor is any solid which conducts current. Example are copper and silver. Next one, insulator is again a solid which conducts current. Example are wood and plastic. Electrode is nothing but a conductor. It's nothing but a conductor which is used in the achievement of either this task or this task. There are definitely names for these cells. I will explain these things in the coming classes. But for time being, you have to understand that electrode is nothing but a conductor. It's a metal rod, right? Used to achieve either this task or this task. Now after electrode we see electrolyte. Electrolyte is again a liquid, right? And that liquid will contain ions in free state, because of which it conducts current. And finally non-electrolyte. Non-electrolyte is again a liquid which does not contain any free ions, because of which it doesn't conduct current. Now hope all of you have understood the topic well. Now after this stuff I am proceeding on to the very next important topic, after which we will put some pause to the session, right? Now see students, criteria for a solid or a liquid to conduct current, right? Now I'm talking about criteria for a solid or a liquid to conduct current. Now let me put this like this: solid and liquid. For a solid, the criteria is the presence of free electrons. For a solid, the criteria to conduct current is presence of free electrons. Similarly, for a liquid to conduct current, the criteria is the presence of free ions. I want to talk something on this. Let me talk about two solids. One is copper, the other one is plastic. Let me tell you one point, students, that copper has electrons, plastic also has electrons. Both of them have electrons. But I can call only copper as conductor, not plastic. Reason being, copper has electrons and every copper will contribute at least one electron for mobility. That means each copper atom will be contributing an electron for it to be mobile, and these mobile electrons will be constantly moving from one corner to the other corner. That means there are electrons which are free to move. That means electrons are mobile, right? That's why copper is a conductor, whereas plastic is not a conductor, it's an insulator. Next, let me talk about liquids. Liquids also, I was telling you an example. Either you take sodium chloride in molten state or aqueous state. NaCl molten or NaCl aqueous, it's a good conductor of electricity, because it not only have ions, but the ions are free to move, right? Ions are free to move, right? Because ions are free to move, only then NaCl aqueous is said to be good conductor of electricity. Instead, if you take sodium chloride packet from nearby mart, right, nearby any store, general store, if you get sodium chloride packet, put two wires, connect it to battery and bulb, you will not see the bulb glowing. You cannot see the bulb glowing. The only reason being, there are ions, but there is no movement of ions. Whereas, if you take the same sodium chloride, 1 spoon of salt, add it to water, prepare an aqueous solution, and into that if you dip wires, connect it to battery and bulb, it starts glowing excellently, right? That's how we will call sodium chloride aqueous as a good conductor of electricity. But solutions like sucrose, urea, etc., right, these do not have any ions. That's why they are not conductors of electricity. In fact, I cannot call them electrolytes. So this is what I wanted to talk to you. I just want to give you a basic introduction, right? I hope you all have enjoyed the session, right? We have just discussed basic terms: what is conductor, what is electrode, what is non-conductor, that is insulator, what is electrolyte. All these basic terms we have discussed, and we have also discussed the criteria for conducting current, right? I hope we will join very shortly, right? We will definitely have a wonderful journey ahead. Right? Thank you. Stay home, stay safe.